I'm the scat man. I'm the scat man. It's not Avicii's levels, bud, to get you going on the Friday, but like I said yesterday, when the Stacks are hitting, that song hits a little differently. Welcome to NHL Puck Prop presented by Sports Interaction, 14-year NHL vet Carlo Colaiacovo. Do you know who's over my shoulder there? Do you know who that guy is?
That's Walt Kachuk.
That is Dick Paradise.
Paradise.
Yeah, Dick Paradise. On the backside of that card is Bobby Hall with the Jets. That's a WHL card.
Oh, okay.
The Dick cards have been helping us with the Stacks this week.
Okay,
Noticed. Yeah, if you haven't noticed, you retweeted it, but I don't think you've been noticing the absolute guys giving us a hand who didn't give us a hand yesterday were any of those defensemen.
Yeah.
Not a single assist.
Crazy.
Absolute plugs. We
Brutal.
move on. I know, but we move on. It's Friday. We got a big slate today. What else? Oh, we lost the Tampa Bay shootout. Just brutal. Lost that one in the shootout. But Stacks go. Stacks are winning. Since last Tuesday, every stack up 28 units, which is insane. The Reds are up 32 units, the ones I highlight. And this week alone, the Red Stacks are up 23.2 units compared to just 6.85 units for all. So I've been doing pretty well picking out the winners. Good day to everybody there in the chat. Happy to see y'all. I don't want to hit that button. I got something over it, so gonna have to wait. Hurdle, Doro, Cousins, Batherson. Yeah, there were some good ones last night. Before we get to it, you're at the Leaf game. Started hot. And then it's just like, here's like a 5-minute stretch where they lost the game. Like Domi off the bat, he's lucky he didn't break his hand because I don't know if all of those punches landed outside of a helmet, but that shit was what you need to see from it. What was your take from the game last night?
Yeah, I think similar to how you just explained it. I was really impressed with the way the Leafs started, considering all the talk about coming into the game.
I'm going to finish that thought for him. Coming into the game, just a flash of Dick Paradise. What a great juxtaposition on that. Carlo's day off. Oh, he back.
You there?
Yeah. Oh, here he is.
I have no volume.
No volume.
I'm going to reconnect.
He's going to reconnect, people. I'll get to the cards. We can get his thoughts on the Leaf game. And yeah, Boog says Dick A-Balls don't have that card yet, but Lixel was all over the score sheet last night in Philadelphia. Couldn't get anybody else, but Lixel absolutely painted the stats. Let's get to the card.
Hey, I'm back.
Whoa, he's back.
Computer's back. Yeah.
Leafs game recap. Started hot. Domi let things go. Willie, Johnny T, looking good.
Yeah.
And then just things fell apart. There was some cheeky penalties, like inside the scrum. They took taking one guy out of scrums, kind of lost some momentum. They gave up that late goal in the first, and then kind of were on their heels in the second.
So I was watching the game from behind one of the goalie nets, and it looked like a really slow game. And then when I talked to Mike Johnson after the game and I saw him, he was the guy doing the game between the benches. And he said to me, he goes, that was a really fast game. And Florida just makes it tough on you to gain any space in the offensive zone. And I think the Maple Leafs just had a hard time, creating any offense, creating any extended chances in the offensive zone. I know they got their legs going a little bit in the third period, but it was a little bit too late. You talked about that 5 minutes in the second period. Yeah, some, I would call lazy penalties. I mean, the too many men on the ice one was the one that ended up being the difference maker. But I think when you summarize it all, I don't think Toronto did enough to try to win that game versus Florida that just came in with a simple game plan and executed it.
Mackey and Bennett are a dangerous duo. Like I thought I'll kind of be sad if Marchand takes his spot there on the second line, which he probably will, but they look great. Outside of that, early excitement that just kind of fell back on the heels. Tanev was back. I'd be surprised if Matthew Nye stays on PP1. He had some bad giveaways, like just bad backhand, no look, just easy zone entries. And CJ's between the boards, right? Between the glass?
MJ.
I every time I get it wrong.
Mike Johnson.
Yeah, Mike, listening to the game last night, watching on TSN, he is probably the best between the benches guy. Mm-hmm. And I think it's funny that you say you thought it was a slow game, and then you go to him and he's like, wow, what a fast game.
Yeah.
Like he sees the game differently. He does,
yeah.
It's great to hear him. So let's get to the slate today. Leafs off. We're good. We got games. Detroit at Carolina. Carolina minus 240 over under sitting at 6. Svechnikov out. We're going that top line. Aho, Blake, Jarvis for a point. Plus 275. Let me take you through the pricing for some of the other top line 1, PP1 guys. You got Nyes, Matthews, Marner, plus 200. Raquel, Crosby, Russ, plus 190 last night. Celebrini, Eklund, Toffoli, plus 190. Plus 270 is a big price, and that has a lot to do with Balake here at plus 110 for a point. He moves up. He's getting minutes, 16 to 18 minutes. I'd love a Jack Roslovic Kotkaniemi stack, but no Roslovic points, so I'm waiting for that. Peter Mrazek to start for the Wings. He won his first game there, 7-3, but nothing exciting. Detroit finally snapped that ugly losing streak. But I mean, a 7-3 win, like that's kind of a gutted out win. Could you see Detroit? You see Detroit kind of falling back to those losing ways if they can't play tight and have Peter Mrazek in that, to be honest?
I mean, not necessarily. And anytime a team comes out of a long losing streak, they kind of get their juice back, and especially with the result they had last game, scoring 7 goals. And Carolina, like, they beat some very good teams. This could be a trap game for Carolina, where you won some games against good teams, and you're playing a team you should win, and it's hard at this time of the year to play desperate teams like Detroit. And even like if you look at Detroit's losses, it's not like they weren't like blown out of those games. They were losing 1-goal games because they couldn't score. And you just wonder what a 7 spot could do for that team's confidence. So, Carolina, really good home team. They're feeling it pretty good, but I think there's value here on Detroit right now, regardless of who's playing in that.
Jack Roslovic did mention that seems the locker room, the stress within the team has kind of dissipated a lot more now that
Rantanen's gone.
Just the whole media hype of everything with it, right? So that's behind them. They can concentrate. Be interesting to see if they tighten things up. Not a giant race right now, but kind of expecting some power play goals in this game. Detroit, number 5 power play since the restart, 3 goals versus Buffalo. And sporting a bottom 5 penalty kill at 68%. So when Detroit was winning games, their power play was absolutely locked on. We saw that, not the Larkin line, the Patrick Kane line, stacking points the other
night. Yeah,
exactly. Rempe got boned on that interference call. Joseph Rackett says, yes. Did you see that one? Someone skated into him and he got 2 minutes for interference. Yeah.
That's just 2 minutes for being bigger than the guy next to you on the ice.
Yeah, and spending a lot of time in the principal's office as well. All right, that's where we are for Carolina. Nothing crazy. Anytime you can kind of get the Larkin Raymond stack at plus money is almost a choice too. So that's where that one is. Edmonton at the Islanders. I don't know what's up with Edmonton. Islanders are plus 120 over under sitting at 6. We're going to go Lee and Pajot for a point each. Plus 350.
Wow.
I know. Like anytime you get, it's a power play too, but like I think they're 65%, 35%, how they're splitting things up. Edmonton, I really thought Edmonton would have a better effort versus New Jersey. They didn't. 3-2 loss last night. Calvin Pickard's going to be in. He was chased in his last start, first period. He ranks 51st of 62 goalies in goals saved above expected. But here you are, the Islanders coming back from the West Coast trip where they went 1-2 straight up. 4 days, 3 games. The last game was on Tuesday, but they face an Edmonton team that since the restart hasn't looked great. They're 3-7 straight up. Where does the levee break in this? Is this a tough travel spot for the Islanders? Does Edmonton kind of right the ship, or maybe we just kind of see a sloppy game between two teams that maybe aren't playing their best hockey?
Well, I mean, I talked about desperation, right? And the desperate team right now is the New York Islanders because they're fighting for their playoff lives. And it's really hard to get a good read on anything good with Edmonton right now. I mean, as bad as the Islanders have been, they're still believing in their locker room that they still have a chance. They're coming off of the road, that long road trip. They're 5 points out. I mean, if we have any indication of what a team should look and feel like coming off that long road trip, I mean, Toronto was a great example of it last night. This has the making of an Edmonton win, right? They should win, but look at the losses they've had the last couple of days. I mean, they lost to Buffalo. They lost to Pittsburgh. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to read on this Edmonton team because I don't think they're feeling that same level of desperation. Like, I know they got LA on their heels, only up 1 point on LA, but I think Edmonton knows that they're going to be in the playoffs, and I think that's what they're waiting for. But this one for me, if you're going to pick a game, you got to look at the Edmonton side of it because of everything going against the Islanders, but it's too hard to get a read on Edmonton in my eyes.
Yeah, let's go. Just Pajot and Lee here stacked last game in the 4-1 loss. PP2, like I said, getting about 60 to 65%. They had a goal taken away too, which could have been big. I was Dylan Cousins point away from about 20 grand last night, which was pretty
cool. Did he not get it on that deflection?
No, he got one. I needed him for two.
Oh, he needed two. Oh, no.
But if you go back and look at Giroux's open empty net goal,
he's on the ice?
Yeah, he's on the off wing just waiting over there.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I had the 2-point parlay with Mackey and Bennett. They got there too. Rust and Raquel, they got there too after a scoring correction. And I got the Batherson one, but old Cousins. Or sorry, I got Yes, Cousins, 1 point plus 3, was on the ice for like 4 goals. That sucks. We move on. We did win a bit of money off it, but we'll live.
That's good. Sorry.
Not bad. Dallas, Winnipeg. Winnipeg minus 135, over under sitting at 5.5. Big rest advantage here for Dallas, who hasn't played since the 9th, which is a hell of a stretch. They're 8-2 straight up in their last 10, 8-2 to the over in that same one. But to the over, Winnipeg tonight and at Colorado on Sunday. So that's a tough little stretch for Dallas here. Hints, important injuries day to day. He exited the last game, but he's had a lot of time off. They haven't really practiced. Big one, Nick Ehlers and Neil Pionk have missed back-to-back practices. We've seen Cole Perfetti jump up to PP1. That will be something I'm looking at. The Dallas stacks right now, Rantanen and Wyatt Johnson at plus 130, Duchesne and Robertson at plus 165. This game is a wait and see what happens. I don't have much on it, but it could be something similar to what we saw Toronto, Florida. No, maybe open early and just kind of clamping down, which is the MO for, I find, playoff hockey and what we saw a lot of in the Four Nations. First period scoring, and then things settle down and tighten up.
Yeah. Well, it's this time of year, right? Where, it's very rare that you're going to see this track meet type of games because teams just either hunker down or just invest in the grind, right? And I think similar to this game that we're looking at right now, Dallas, Winnipeg. Winnipeg's got one of the best home records in the league. They got one of the best goaltenders in the league. Dallas right now, they're trying to hold off Colorado, chasing them. And I think this is a big game for Dallas too, if they want to try to, catch Winnipeg in the standings and try to get away from that first round matchup against Colorado. I mean, Dallas has 2 games in hand on Winnipeg and they're 8 points out. So this is considered a 4-point game, right? Head-to-head matchup. So it'd be a good one. I wouldn't expect many goals in this game, but yeah, I guess we'll see how this whole thing plays out.
Yeah, it's a tough one as I have no bets on it right now. We'll see how it
Yeah.
rolls out. Rest advantage, injuries. There's lots to dissect here in terms of how things are going to go. They got to go to Colorado too. Nick Portal say the Islanders are at home. Correct. The Islanders are at home. I said they were coming back from the West Coast. First game back from the West Coast, west to east. We'll see how their legs are. Speaking of Colorado, morning. Bobby Newport says, morning pumpers. Good day. Colorado, Calgary. Calgary plus 170. Plus 170. Over under sitting at 5.5. Getting creative with this one. Low scoring, tight game. Calgary plus 1.5 and under 6.5 will boost that up a bit. Plus 160. Calgary has hit 3 overs, Carlo, in the last 16 games, and I have been on 2 of those on the under. No, I've been on the under. Yeah, I've been snake bitten by the few games I've dipped my toes in on the unders, so they've kind of dung me there. But Colorado road offense is kind of alarming out of the break. 3 games on the road, a single goal in each of them. Wow. That's in sharp comparison to their 6-0 home record with 26 goals scored. On the road, it's a little different for this team. Colorado just above 500 on the road with a +3 goal differential. Now, that's not much different than Calgary's home record. Don't get me wrong, but I really see this as a 2 different way team that has a massive advantage when they play at home. Necas and Nichushkin were swapped halfway through the third period of their last game, that Minnesota game that they lost. Right now, we're going to have to wait to see, but it's Nelson and Nichushkin plus 220, Nate and Necas for a point each at -165, which is not a buy point. Calgary coming off that 4-3 shootout loss to Vancouver. Could see Vladar. Michael Backlund left the game Wednesday, so it'll be interesting to see. What's that? Vancouver, Calgary, Utah, St. Louis separated by 2 points in the bottom there. Do we see kind of a structured bounce back game for Calgary, or do we see Colorado actually do something on the road? Like, can it be that black and white in terms of this is what you get on the road, this is what you get at home? Is there that much big of an advantage for the Avs at home? I'm kind of leaning yes, no?
Yeah, I mean, the stats will say it. And if we go to last year's contrasts, I mean, Colorado was the best home team in the league. And the numbers proved it too. This one's a weird one. I mean, I'm looking at the head-to-head matchup here. Colorado has owned this matchup. They're 8-2 in their last 10, including winners of 6 in a row against Calgary. Now, I mean, it's a different time of year. Calgary's playing for something more than they've played with in the last 2 years, maybe 3 years. They're coming off of a tough loss to Vancouver the other night, a game that they probably should have won and given themselves a little bit more insurance on their playoff spot. But it's I kind of like the home plus money value here on
plus 170 is a lot
on Calgary. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's where mine went. I'm like, I like plus 170. Let me see what the reverse puck line is. Let me see what the plus 1.5 is. It's -155. Okay, how can I bump that up? Let's go under 6.5. Move that to 160. That's the play there. Getting away from some of the stacks. We'll see how that worked. Didn't work out yesterday, but hopefully today is a different story. Nashville, Anaheim. Anaheim, plus 115 home dog. Over under sitting at 6. Let's go Brady Shea for a point, plus 130. Let's not get cute with the assist on the defenseman. Nashville ripping off 4 straight wins a little too late on the season. Cali road trip is already started, so they're already there. 3-2 win over San Jose on Tuesday. Roman Josi still out, so Brady Shea still PP1. He's plus 450 for a power play point versus Anaheim's 68% PK since the restart. We know we always pick on the Ducks, posing defenseman. Good angle we've had all year. The Carlson Trevor Zegras stack has hit in 3 straight games, but the books are not giving us a Trevor Zegras point on the board. So hopefully wait to see that. Outside of that, I mean, this game could go either way. Lucas Dostal's been great. One of the better goalies in terms of advanced save metrics. Nashville, let's be honest, 5 straight wins. Is that something, including a West Coast road trip, including a Cali road trip? That's a tough thing to do. it seems like this is like the epitome of like what every other game is, right? Like Colorado, Calgary, another tough one. Dallas, Winnipeg, a very tough one. Edmonton, the Islanders, Detroit, Carolina, outside of that one. But like this slate just seems like you can make arguments for both sides. And I think you can kind of do the same for Nashville, Anaheim, no?
Totally agree. Totally agree. I mean, Anaheim's been one of those teams that like they're kind of stuck in the middle. Like they seem to creep up and then they have a little lull, and then they seem to creep up and then they have a little lull. I don't like Nashville as a favorite, regardless as to how many games that they won, right? The Ducks, they who did they play last game that I was watching? Oh, Utah the other night. It was on coming off of a back-to-back. They probably, they gave a good effort in that game, and they only lost 3-2 in a tough schedule spot game. The head-to-head against these two teams. Anaheim won the last meeting. They won 3 of the last 4. I wouldn't feel comfortable betting a favorite in this matchup.
No, I don't like Nashville here on the road. Second game in Cali, winning 4 straight games without Roman Josi. Hopefully Lucas.
The bubble has to burst at some point.
At some point, agreed. And I think when we're kind of talking like this, where it's like, oh, really tough. These are some really tough spots, really tough. I don't really see a clear side. Obviously, pricing is the most important thing. That's kind of where we're like, oh, Islanders at plus 120 looks a little appetizing. Oh, Dallas at plus money on the road looks good. Calgary plus 170, we mentioned that. And all of a sudden, Anaheim at plus 115, plus 120 at home. Not a bad look either. Utah, Seattle. This is where I don't like the home dog here at plus 115. No thank you to Seattle. Over under sitting at 6. Hayton and Gunther for a point each, plus 155. Second line on the road. Utah, 12 of 16 points in the last 8 games. 2 points out of the 8th spot in the West. Absolutely want to see them get in. That barn is going to be wild if they do play playoff hockey. And one thing that we've seen, and we mentioned last time versus Seattle, who's winning some games, but Joey Decord, 23 goals allowed in his 6 games since the restart. 3+ in all of them, 427 goals against, 850 save, and a negative goals saved above expected. Utah. I'm on the Utah wagon, and this line has just been incredible. It's been padding pockets, but are we Utah fans right now? We want to see the Canucks and Flames get in, but I like Utah.
Yeah, I think they're a great story this year. Again, I said this many times. I can't believe the GM stood pat at the deadline and didn't try to help improve this team to make a stronger push. But I really like what I see of their hockey club, with a lot of the young players finally blossoming a little bit. And the players that you've targeted for stacks, they've been on fire. So I like it. Go Utes.
Go Utes. I'm seeing a correction. So yes, thank you to the chat. Seeing Carlson and Zegras moved. I think they moved them up halfway through the game. So they split up the Strome, Terry, Vetrano line. We haven't seen I don't think we've had a practice since. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. So that's a hold off for there. Hopefully they just keep the Vetrano, Strome, Terry line together. If not, if this is the way we're looking at it, if we get Strome, Terry, and Zegras, that would be Strome and Terry on the stack. And then Carlson and Killorn, if we can get it. Carlson, no, and nothing on the other one. So just be the one stack if that's where the lines hold in Anaheim. But late ones, we're going, this will be score checking night. I stayed up way too late last night and the night before. When you're winning bets, you stay up later, I find.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
When you're losing, it's like, we'll just
go to bed. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
I'll find out in the morning.
So hopefully
what did you used to call it? The old midnight bathroom?
The old man, the old man walk.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's stay hot.
This is wife. This is a funny wife story. Wife left this morning to go to work at like 5:30. She wakes me up. She comes back in the room, and I look at my phone, and I was score checking at like 5:30. Fell asleep all the way through like a big grown adult. Didn't have to wake up and go pee. And then I missed a message from my group chat for like draft stuff for baseball. Like I was on the clock. They're like, if he doesn't answer this message by 10, I'm like, So there's me. My wife leaves. She comes back into the room, 5:30. I'm texting. She's like, "Who are you texting?" She thought I was texting the side piece saying, "She's gone. She's gone." No, it's just
she's gone. Come in.
yeah, just my baseball draft, babe. Just I'm on the clock. They just don't understand that.
And then she leaves the room. She's like, "This guy's baseball draft at 5:30. What a nerd!"
No, what an obvious liar. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it was. I couldn't leave the boys unread all night. They'd be upset.
Hey, I got Matsui in the 3rd round. Remember that?
And it was such a crappy message too. I'm like, I can't access my Yahoo Sports team right now. Yeah. Just give me the best player. So I was a bad manager too.
Nice.
Friday, late games. Let's get some sleep. Let's get more winner stacks are coming. Pumpers, as I said last show yesterday, volume up, share. I did it again. We got the stacks going. I need those numbers up to the 1K mark. We got to 800. We got to get more. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but like, share, subscribe, do everything to get that going. That's the transaction here.
Okay.
That's what I get. You guys get those. I get that.
I like it.
Need a little more. Friday. Love Fridays.
Fridays are great.
NHL Puck Props presented by Sports Interaction. Enjoy the weekend. Let's get some winners. Thanks to the Pumpers. Lead us out, buddy.
Have a great weekend, folks. See you next week. Let's keep the winners going, babes. Ciao. Pump, pump, pump.